here's what most people don't realize. You can secure residency in 5 different countries without actually living there. I'm talking about real residence permits, not tourist visa, actual residency that gives you access to banking, healthcare, visa-free travel, and in some cases, a path to citizenship. And the best thing, you don't even have to relocate. You don't have to abandon your business. Until today, I'm walking you through 5 residences you can secure right now without moving abroad. These are programs I've used myself and structured for clients. So let's get into it. I think having a second residency is one of the smartest moves you can make in 2026. And here's why. Banking is getting harder. If you're a US citizen, try opening a bank account in Europe. Good luck. I've worked in banking and it's a nightmare. But if you have a European residency, well, that changes the story completely. Banks will treat you completely differently. Travel restrictions also are constantly increasing. We just talked about ETIAS launching late 2026. That's going to make European travel more complicated for Americans and others. But if you have EU residency, you can skip all of that. Tax planning becomes way more flexible. I'm not saying you move, but having the option to establish tax residency somewhere else if your home country's policies change, that's a valuable insurance. And here's what I like about these 5 programs. Minimal physical presence requirements. Most of them require 5 to 7 days per year maximum. Some even have 0-day requirements. That means that you can keep running your business in the US, UK, Canada, wherever you are, and still have legal residency somewhere else. It's not about having all your eggs in one basket. It's about making sure that if something changes politically, economically, or personally, you got options. Let's start with what I think is the best deal globally right now. The UAE Golden Visa. Here's the situation. Once you invest 2 million dirham, and that's around 545,000 US dollars, into UAE property or an approved investment fund, you get 10-year renewable residency visa. No minimum stay requirement, 0 days at all. You literally never even have to set a foot in the UAE after getting the visa. And your residency stays valid. Here's what you get. 0% personal income tax, 0% capital gains tax, access to UAE banking. You get visa-free or visa on arrival access to 140 plus countries as a UAE resident. You can include spouse and children under 18 years, plus a full 10-year validity renewable indefinitely. Look, I've had clients who secured UAE Golden Visas, got their Emirates ID, opened bank accounts with major UAE banks, and then went back to running their businesses in the US or Europe. They use UAE residency for banking, for holding companies, or also for structuring investments. The property investment option is interesting because you can rent it out. Let's say you buy a 2 million dirham property in Dubai. Usually you can generate between 5 to 7% rental yield annually, sometimes even more. So look, you're getting income while holding a residency. So the real value here is UAE is a hub. If you do business in Asia, Middle East, Africa, or Europe, having UAE residency and banking opens doors that would otherwise be closed. Now, the processing time is quite fast. It's usually between 2 to 3 months. You make the investment, submit biometrics, and once you get your Emirates ID, you're done. Now, what I personally like about this is that it's one of the only programs where you generally don't even have to visit to maintain it. Most programs say minimal requirements, but the UAE actually means it. If you want European Union residency for the lowest cost possible, Latvia is the move. It requires 50,000 euros investment into a Latvian company, plus 10,000 euros one-time government fee. That's around 60,000 euros total, about $65,000. Now, you get a 5-year renewable residency permit with access to the entire EU. And here's what you get. You live and work anywhere in the EU, visa-free travel across 29 Schengen countries. You actually only need to visit Latvia once per year to renew your residency card. You can include spouse and children. And after 5 years, you're eligible for permanent residency. Here's what makes Latvia attractive. It's the cheapest EU residency by investment program still operating. Spain shut theirs down. Portugal raised their minimums to 250,000 euros. Malta is completely closed. Latvia, still 50,000 euros. The structure is pretty straightforward. You invest 50,000 euros into the share capital of a pre-approved Latvian company. You don't run the company. You don't manage anything. You're just a passive investor holding shares. The company must pay at least 40,000 euros in annual taxes to the Latvian government, which basically ensures it's a legitimate operating business. After 10 years of legal residence in Latvia, you can now apply for Latvian citizenship if you pass a basic A2 level language test. But honestly, most people I work with aren't doing this for citizenship. They're doing it for EU banking, EU business presence, and Schengen travel access. Now, the processing time is usually between 3 to 5 months. What I've seen is many entrepreneurs use this to set up EU companies, open EU bank accounts, and operate freely within the European market without having to relocate. The only downside, you do actually need to physically visit Latvia. But again, it's just once a year to re-register your residency permit. It's not 0 days like UAE, but I think 1 trip per year is manageable. Thailand just rebranded their elite visa as the Thailand Privilege Card in 2025. And I honestly think it's one of the best lifestyle residency programs available. The gold membership costs around 900,000 Thai baht. That's around $25,500 for a 5-year multiple entry visa. No minimum stay requirements. You can literally spend 0 days in Thailand and your visa stays valid. You get 5-year multiple entry visa, renewable up to 20 years if you upgrade, VIP fast track immigration at every Thai airport, airport limousine service, not bad, elite personal assistant for all immigration procedures, privilege point to use for spa services, golf and hotels, access to exclusive Thailand privilege lounges, and ability to actually open a Thai bank account. So this is what I personally like about this program. It's lifestyle focused. Thailand isn't trying to attract business investments or real estate purchases. They just want high network individuals who appreciate Thai culture and want hassle-free long-term access. So let's say that you spend winters in Thailand, or you do business in Southeast Asia and you actually need a base. Or you just want the option to relocate to Thailand quickly if something happens back home. I think $25,000 for 5 years work out at about $425 per month. Look, for unlimited access to Thailand plus all the VIP perks, I think that's incredibly good value. And one of the best things also is the processing time, usually between 1 to 2 months. Background check, pay the fee, get your visa issued. Now, you can also upgrade to the Platinum membership, which is 10 years for about $42,500, or even more, Diamond membership, 15 years for around $71,000. So this is what I've seen clients do. They usually combine this with another residency like UAE and Latvia. Now they have EU, Middle East covered with those, and Thailand gives them access to Southeast Asia. 3 residencies across different regions and minimal physical presence required. The downside, you must leave Thailand at least once per year. You cannot stay 365 days straight. Immigration requires you to exit and re-enter annually. But look, for most people that's not really an issue. since they're not really living there full-time anyway. Portugal Golden Visa survived the 2023 reforms that killed the real estate route. What's left? Well, we have here two main options. The first option is cultural donation. Usually you have to donate around 250,000 euros to an approved Portuguese cultural heritage project or arts foundation. Option number two, which is an investment fund, it has to be approved by the government, and usually you require at least €500,000 investment. Now, we're talking about venture capital or private equity funds. Both options give you a 5-year renewable residence permit with a path to Portuguese citizenship after 5 years. And here's what you get. Minimal stay requirement, so 7 days in the first year, then 14 days every 2 years. Visa-free travel across 29 Schengen countries. And it can include spouse, children, and dependent parents. And now the best thing. After 5 years, you become eligible for Portuguese citizenship. Now this, however, requires a basic A2 Portuguese language test. And with a Portuguese passport, you get EU citizenship with full rights to live and work anywhere in the EU. And here the processing time is usually between 8 to 12 months currently. There was a huge backlog, but Portugal has been clearing it in 2025. Here's why I personally think Portugal is valuable. It's an escape hatch from Western countries that are constantly increasing taxes and restrictions. Now, let's say you're in the US and you're watching taxes constantly go up, regulations tightening, economic uncertainty increase. You don't want to leave now, but you want to have the option. Portugal's Golden Visa gives you that option. You have to donate around 250,000 or invest €500,000. You visit Portugal for 7 days in year 1, then basically forget about it until you're ready to activate it. After 5 years, you can apply for Portuguese citizenship. That's full EU citizenship. Live in Germany, France, Spain, Italy, wherever you want. Your children now can attend EU universities at local tuition rates. The cultural donation route at 250,000 euros is the cheapest pathway to EU citizenship through investment that actually currently exists. Malta's was 690,000 euros plus, and it's been closed. Bulgaria was 600,000, and it's closed. Portugal is the last affordable option. So here's what I structured for clients. Donate to a Portuguese museum or cultural foundation. It's a non-refundable donation, but you're supporting Portuguese arts and culture while getting a clear path to EU citizenship. The fund route at 500,000 euros is for people who want potential returns on their investment. You invest in a Portuguese VC, PE fund, focused on Portuguese economy. After 5 years, you can potentially sell your fund units. However, liquidity isn't really guaranteed. Greece increased their Golden Visa minimums in 2024, but it's still one of the best value EU residency programs available. Invest 400,000 euros in Greek real estate outside of Athens, Thessaloniki, major islands, or 800,000 euros if you want property in Athens, Mykonos, or Santorini. At this point, you get a 5-year renewable residency permit, no minimum stay requirement, 0 days. And here's what you get. Immediate permanent residency for you and your family, visa-free travel across 29 Schengen countries. You can actually include spouse, children under 21, and dependent parents. You get the ability to rent out a property for long-term lease. So for example, short-term B&B are actually banned under new rules. After 7 years of actual residency, which means that you spend at least 183 days per year there, you become eligible for Greek citizenship. Processing time is usually 3 months as of 2025. Greece cleared their massive backlog from the previous years. Here's the value proposition. You're getting a tangible asset, so the property you own, plus EU residency. Greek rental yields are between 5 to 7% in major cities. Tourist areas can generate up to 10% returns on long-term rentals. So you're earning income while holding residency. The €400,000 threshold applies to most of Greece. That gets you property in beautiful locations like Crete, Rhodes, smaller islands, or northern Greece. Look, the quality of life there is excellent, and the cost of living is very low. Now, if you, however, want Athens or Santorini, that's €800,000. But honestly, I'd actually rather look at the €400,000 tiers, because you get a much better value and often better rental yields outside of the prime zones. Now, what I personally like about Greece, it's a lifestyle play. You know, Mediterranean climate, incredible food, rich history, friendly people. Look, I personally go there pretty much every summer. And if you're going to have a second residency somewhere, Greece is probably a place you'd actually really want to visit. And the 0-day requirement means you maintain residency without moving. You can visit when you want, rent the property out when you're not there, and generate passive income. The path to citizenship, however, requires 7 years of actual physical presence, meaning that you have to spend there at least 183 days per year. So this isn't a fast track to EU citizenship like, for example, Portugal. But if you're just securing residency and optionality, that's where Greece delivers. So, which one makes sense for you? Let me break that down how we approach this. If you want, or if you're interested in 0 tax and 0 days, UAE Golden Visa, around $600,000, no physical presence required, very good international banking access, and 0% tax. If you're looking for the cheapest EU access, then go for Latvia. €60,000 total, visit once per year, full EU rights. Now, however, if you want Southeast Asia, Thailand Privilege Card, around $25,000 for 5 years. You get VIP perks, no minimum stay. Now, if you want EU citizenship, then I would recommend Golden Visa with Portugal. 250,000 donation, minimal days. So first year was 7 days and then 14 every 2 years. Citizenship after 5 years. If you want EU property investment, Greece Golden Visa, €400,000 property, 0-day requirement, rental income, and Mediterranean lifestyle. For example, UAE for banking and tax optimization, Portugal for EU citizenship pathway, Thailand for Southeast Asia access, 3 residencies, minimal time commitment, maximum global coverage. Or Latvia for immediate EU banking access while waiting for Portugal Golden Visa to process. Once Portugal comes through, you have 2 EU residencies plus a citizenship path. The strategy is geographic diversification. You don't want all your legal status banking rights concentrated in one single country. So here's what I recommend. First, figure out what you actually need. Banking access, tax optimization, travel freedom, citizenship pathway. Second, you need to check eligibility. Most of these require clean criminal records, proof of funds, source of wealth documentation. Third, move fast. Latvia could raise their minimums. Portugal processing times could increase again. Greece might tighten rules further. Thailand Privilege Bronze membership ends in March 2026. These programs exist today, but they might not exist in the same form tomorrow. If you want help structuring this, link is in the description to book a consultation. We'll walk you through your situation, figure out which program makes sense, and we will handle the entire application process. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, hit the subscribe for more updates on second citizenship, residency planning, and real strategies for global freedom in an ever-changing world.